Ukraine's president has fired his top bodyguard over an alleged assassination plot. It happened after two officers from Ukraine's State Guard service were detained for reportedly working to assassinate President Volodymyr Zelensky. Meanwhile, Ukraine has reportedly raised the bar in its drone strikes on Russia. A Ukrainian defense source tells CNN that one drone struck a refinery in southwestern Russia about 1,500 kilometres away. That's reportedly the longest distance for Ukraine's UAVs. The refinery is one of Russia's largest, but regional officials say it's still operating despite that attack. And back in Ukraine, Western intelligence believes Russia sees a window of opportunity and will ramp up its attacks ahead of the arrival of more US military aid. Officials say Russian troops will likely try to make more progress and consolidate recent gains on the front lines. The US aid was approved last month, but it'll take time before enough of it is delivered there. Russia's marked the most important day of its political calendar, the anniversary of its victory over Nazi Germany. Thursday's Victory Day celebrations ended with fireworks, even though the events were scaled back this year. But as Claire Sebastian reports, President Vladimir Putin did not dial down his verbal assault against Ukraine's allies.
Amid unseasonal snow flurries, Russian President Vladimir Putin using this moment to turn up the heat in his war of words with the West, accusing it of distorting history.
Revanchism, mockery of history, and the desire to justify the current followers of the Nazis are part of the general policy of Western elites to foment new regional conflicts.
Putin's third victory day since his full-scale invasion of Ukraine, another opportunity for his own brand of factual distortion. Painting the war in Ukraine as the sequel to Russia's role in defeating Nazi Germany, portraying the West as the aggressor, justifying unimaginable losses under the banner of patriotism.
Russia is going through a difficult period. The fate of our motherland depends on every one of us.
Soldiers fresh from the front lines in Russia's so-called special military operation also treading the damp cobbles of Red Square. And yet this year, victory seems more attainable. Russia now has the advantage on Ukraine's front lines. Gains on the Eastern Front in recent months, their biggest in more than a year and a half. Moscow confident enough to show off a selection of battlefield trophies, European and American tanks and armoured vehicles, part of a month-long exhibition at Moscow's Victory Park. At home, Putin, now 2 days into his fifth term, is more powerful than ever, and he wants the world to know it.
Russia will do everything to avoid a global confrontation, but at the same time, we will not let anyone threaten us. Our strategic forces are always combat ready.
It was a measured nuclear threat. As ballistic missiles rolled across Red Square, Putin casually coordinated plans for upcoming non-strategic nuclear exercises with close ally Belarus, both leaders emphasizing this is just routine training. While Western leaders no longer join Russia in marking this shared victory, Putin knows they are watching. Claire Sebastian, CNN, London.
An American detained in Russia is speaking exclusively to CNN about concerns over his case. Paul Whelan says he's optimistic about US attempts to secure his release, but he's worried the recent arrest of another American might complicate efforts to get him freed, as well as Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich.
Unfortunately, if this gentleman is declared wrongfully detained, it will sort of start negotiations for Evan and I all over again, because then there'll be the three of us. And this is one of the problems that we've had in the past. You know, they were negotiating for me, and then it was Trevor and me, and then it was Brittany and me, and now it's Evan and me. And every time they've negotiated, it's always been starting fresh when there's another person involved. So yeah, it is a bit of a concern.
US Army Staff Sergeant Gordon Black travelled to Russia to visit his girlfriend without permission from the US military. He was then arrested in the city of Vladivostok last week on charges of theft and will remain in pre-trial detention until July. He hasn't yet been granted US consular access either.